When you look at a newborn calf, you see something that looks incredibly fragile, right? But it actually comes into the world with this amazing blueprint for survival. Today, we're going to dive into the science of that survival, a biological race against time that every single calf faces in its first few hours. So here's the big problem for this little guy. Its immune system is basically a blank slate when it's born. It has zero built-in protection. So its entire life, its survival, really hinges on what it gets from the outside world in its very first meal. And, to really get why the solution is so brilliant, we have to first understand the problem. So let's take a closer look at just how vulnerable a calf is right after it's born. Okay, so unlike us humans, a calf's placenta is like a solid wall. It doesn't let the mother's antibodies pass through to the baby. This means the calf is born completely defenseless. It has no firewall to protect it from all the germs in its new environment. Its only hope is something called passive immunity. And this slide right here really drives the point home. On the left, you're seeing the gut of a calf before that first meal. See how bacteria can just waltz right in? But now look at the right. After that meal, those protective antibodies get absorbed, and they build a literal shield. It's an open door versus a guarded gate. So what is in that magic first meal? Well, nature has this perfect solution, but it's a solution with a deadline. The clock starts ticking the second that calf is born. And that solution is colostrum. It's the mother's first milk. And believe me, it is so much more than just food. Think of it like a life-saving cocktail. It's packed with energy, nutrients, and the most important part, these life-saving antibodies called immunoglobulins, or IgG for short. These are the soldiers the calf needs, and it needs them now. Now, this graph is absolutely critical. It shows just how fast that window of opportunity slams shut. You can see the ideal time to get that colostrum in is within the first 6 hours. After that, look how the calf's ability to absorb those all-important antibodies just plummets. Every single hour counts. And here's why that clock matters so much. The process is called gut closure. See, right at birth, the calf's gut is porous. It has tiny openings that let those big antibody proteins pass right through into the blood. But over the next 24 to 48 hours, those openings close up for good. If you miss that window, it's too late. The antibodies are locked out. So, what happens if a calf doesn't get enough good colostrum in time? Well, it comes face to face with its number one enemy, a nasty condition known as calf scours. And the impact? It's just staggering. 57%. That's how many pre-weaning calf tests are caused by diarrhea or scours. Think about that. More than half. It is, by a huge margin, the biggest threat to a young calf's life. And what makes scours so tough is that it's not just one thing. It's this complex problem caused by a whole crew of different bad guys. You've got bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella. You've got viruses like rotavirus, all of them just waiting to attack that vulnerable gut. This chart shows you it's like the calf is running a gauntlet. In the first few days, the big threat is E. coli. Okay, survive that. Now you're in the window for rotavirus. A little later, it's crypto. It's just a relentless, non-stop series of attacks during that first critical month. So understanding this threat has pushed science to find new ways to help out, to give these calves a fighting chance, right from the very beginning. Let's look at a pretty cool modern intervention that takes the fight directly to the gut. So this new approach uses a different kind of antibody called IgY. And get this, instead of coming from a cow, they're harvested from the yolks of eggs. Hens are immunized against specific calf germs, and then they lay eggs that are packed with these highly targeted antibodies. It's like creating a smart bomb designed specifically to fight those pathogens inside the calf's intestine. So how does it actually work? Well, it's a simple 3-step attack. First, the IgY antibodies act like bodyguards, physically blocking the germs from ever latching onto the gut wall. Second, they neutralize the nasty toxins the germs release. And finally, they make all the bad guys clump together, which makes it super easy for the calf's body to just flush them right out. But there's a second line of defense here, and it's called natural betaine. Because the real killer with scours isn't just the infection, it's the dehydration that comes with it. Betaine is something called an osmoprotectant, which is just a fancy way of saying it helps the gut cells hang on to their water. It's a direct countermeasure against that deadly dehydration. Okay, so the science sounds amazing, right? But the real question is, does it actually work out on the farm, in the real world? Let's check out the data from 2 recent field trials. All right, first up, a trial from 2023 on a Korean dairy farm. They took 20 newborn calves, split them into 2 groups, and then just tracked their diarrhea scores over 30 days. Simple as that. One group got the Ig-Booster and the other was the control. And the results were pretty dramatic. Just look at day 10. The control group, their average diarrhea score was a 1.0, but the Ig-Booster group, way down at 0.2. And that little asterisk? That means the result was statistically significant. In plain English, that means this was no fluke. The difference was real. Then, in 2024, a second trial really upped the stakes. This time, they didn't just track how sick the calves got. They tracked life and death. They monitored how many calves got diarrhea and, most importantly, how many actually survived. And the results here were just wow. Look at the control group. Over a quarter of them got sick, and almost 1 in 10 died. Now look at the Ig-Booster group. The sickness rate dropped by more than 2/3. But here's the number that really matters. 0% mortality. Not a single calf was lost. That's a game changer. You know, this whole journey from understanding a natural defense like colostrum to developing these targeted tools like IgY, it just shows how powerful the partnership between nature and science can be. And it leaves you with a really interesting question, doesn't it? As we get better and better at decoding nature's own playbooks, what other secrets are waiting for us to unlock to protect the most vulnerable?